Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I'm a candle maker, mum of three, and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by the membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective. Becoming a member gives you access to fortnightly online group Q&A coaching sessions to support you, monthly online workshops and trainings to help you grow your business, plus frequent expert guest speakers to inspire and teach you. You'll also have access to an ever-growing resource library with templates, guides, planners, and ebooks. But my favorite aspect of the membership is our exclusive Facebook group for accountability, connection and support. So if you're looking to take your candle business to the next level and learn more about the membership for candle makers, click the link in the show notes for the Candle Makers Collective. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. Today we have a very special guest. We've got Monique from PACKQUEEN. Now, Monique, would you like to introduce yourself to listeners and tell us how you got started in the packaging industry?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Monique. I'm the founder of PACKQUEEN, and we've been operating now for 15 years, so quite some time. And I got started in packaging many, many years ago, obviously. And I think the love of packaging came from my grandparents. My grandparents owned an antique store, and I was around them, and they were constantly wrapping things and presenting all their antiques in this beautiful packaging. And as it went on, I knew that I wanted to do something. I wanted to create a business. And at the time, there was an opportunity. My family was in industrial packaging, so doing really big boxes and cardboard. But I wanted something more. I wanted prettier boxes. I could see there was a lot of smaller businesses struggling to access their packaging. And so I thought, no, this is the time for me to be able to help. And therefore, the journey came along from there and to where I am today.
Amazing. It's so interesting chatting to different people on the podcast and hearing their origin stories and learning about how they got to where they are based on, what they've experienced in their childhood or a need that they've seen in the industry. And so it's so beautiful that you've, in a way, followed your grandparents' footsteps, but also forged your own path in the packaging world and created your own business, which is just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a journey, and it's, one that's evolved from having just 10 boxes we used to sell right through now to over 6,000 products. So along the journey, we've added on, we've expanded, and it's been really such a wonderful experience to go through that growth, to see the business evolve and adapt and over the years change as we've gone along.
Yeah, of course. And I can imagine there would have been various challenges along the way based on the industry, the economy, even when we went through COVID as well. So did you find that during COVID or during the last few years that your business has taken off because more people are starting up their own businesses at home?
Yes, we've always grown year on year, so that's been something that's always happened for us. Obviously, in COVID, a lot of businesses were pivoting and required packaging, so we were extremely busy over those few years. A lot of people that had never done online sales before were starting online. They needed to get boxes out, so we were very busy during that period of time. We learned a lot about it, packaging in terms of high volume production. We're putting more systems in place to help that. But we really have seen there's so many startup businesses now, which is great that we can be part of their journey. We've had people come and they only want 20 boxes or 25 boxes, and right through to now ordering thousands of boxes. And that's, I think, one of the beautiful parts of what we do. And me personally, what I love to see is the growth in businesses where they're starting small and they're just ordering a few boxes, and then the next month or the next few months later it's a few more, and you just see this lovely progression. So that's something that I really enjoy. And yeah, absolutely, we've seen a lot of startups, smaller businesses is one of our key areas that we focus on. But yeah, certainly packaging's got a lot bigger in recent years.
That's amazing. It's so good to hear that, as you know, there were so many businesses that went out of business or that people were struggling so much during the last few years. But in your industry and in your case, you've been able to explode your business and help more businesses grow as well based on being in the packaging industry, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're forever grateful to be able to, because we do recognize that it was a really hard time for a lot of businesses and challenges. And that's why we made sure that we could support them in any way. We understood that they needed things quick, they needed it urgent. They were trying all different types of things. And we were really making sure at the core of what we were doing, we were able to support their business through whatever they needed at the time. That was something that we did then. We've always done that, but we kind of had to step up a little bit more over that period of time. But it's something that we always continue to do, is just support the business through exactly what they need for that moment.
So essential for, especially not only just candle businesses, but all businesses that you deal with at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So all different types of industries we deal with, candles being one. It can be anyone that's got an e-commerce business, gift boxes, right through to food packaging. So we, sell like little cookie boxes and chocolate boxes, such a huge variety. One of the things that we have also introduced as well is storage boxes, which this is great for candle makers as well. It allows a box to be able to sort out, and a lot of warehousing are using it, home office are using it. We have boxes that are stackable, and it just helps their picking or packing or preparing orders. And that's been something that's been really great for not only just candle and retail based businesses, but warehouses. So we're always looking for those type of things to help all different industries with our products that we offer.
I love how your business is evolving with the times and adapting and responding to what customers actually need rather than bringing out a product and just hoping for the best. You're actually doing your thorough research. You're being clever and quite smart about what you're bringing in, what you're introducing. And you've actually introduced a new candle box range as well, which I've been very privileged to receive some samples of and having to play with, which I've just been thoroughly enjoying. But I'm curious, what are some of the most commonly used packaging materials?
So we all sell mainly two type of materials in packaging. So we sell a cardboard packaging material, which is the samples that you receive. So they're sturdy, they allow for gifting, or being able to protect products in the post. But we also sell a thinner board, which is called a paperboard material, which is commonly used for like cosmetic packaging and candle packaging, but more so with shelf-ready packaging. So it's not something that you're going to ship it in, but they're usually used for presentation of candles, or maybe it's cosmetics or something like that. But we use both types of materials in the business. And fundamentally, though, one of the main things that we do is we always are looking for sustainable materials. We source sustainably, and we make sure that the products that we use are 100% recyclable as well, which is really important, I think, for all businesses now to do their part, and something we've always done from the start. But I think there's been a really big shift into businesses wanting to know more about it and make sure they're using sustainable products now.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's just one of those important things is as time goes on, the majority of people become more aware of environmental issues and concerns. And it filters down into, how are things packaged? What sort of tape are you using? Can the packaging be recycled, as you said? And it's so important as a business to be able to adapt and make these things a priority, which you've always done, which is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're just there to support the journey for the businesses now that are becoming more aware. And we feel it's our responsibility as well to educate customers as well about their choices. And so that's something we're putting a lot more effort and time into, making sure that we're providing the resources that they need on sustainable materials and what they can do for their own business.
Amazing. So tell me, how do you balance aesthetic design with functional considerations when it comes to packaging?
So our design is really important for us. We have good looking boxes, I can
You
say.
do? Yes, I agree.
So for us, a box is not a box. And as funny as that is, someone will say, oh, it's just a box. But for us, everything is like a work of art. Every crease is perfected. Every locking system is designed. Fundamentally, we need to make the box function its best, but also we always make sure the box looks good. So that is one thing that we invest a lot of time. So we might have a sample box that can take sometimes a few months to develop. So for example, that candle box range, It took several months to actually come together and build it, and there was multiple design variations of it and little issues we needed to overcome to perfect it. And it's just part of the process for us. So we know that when we're at the end of it, the box is going to be of a really high quality and it will be a very good looking box.
Yes, they're beautiful. You almost don't want to put them in the recycle bin because they're so pretty. But then that's the thing, like if you've got a product that is great quality or exceptional quality, it looks beautiful, you're more likely to find a reuse for it. And instead of putting it straight in the bin, the recycle bin, you can then, as I said, use it for another purpose, which is which is so important.
And that's why we've kept, the bulk of our manufacturing is in Australia. So we have complete control over the materials we use, the quality of the product. So there can be other products out on the market. There might be imported products, and you really can tell the difference as soon as you feel it. It's just a totally different experience, and a box is very different. Once you feel the difference, you're like, oh, it makes sense now.
Yes.
You understand the difference of when I talk about a good-looking box. There are very much differences between the different types of boxes on the market.
Yes, definitely. So when it comes to, say, candle businesses, because it is the Candle Business Coach podcast, or focusing on candle businesses, how important is packaging design in brand identity for the customer experience?
What we've found is that the actual design or the way you present your boxes for candles actually connects with your customers. And the idea for us is the customers to basically so our customers, our businesses that we work with, candle businesses, to get repeat purchases. And that's really important. When we introduced the new candle box range, we were thinking outside the square, and we wanted to present gift packs also to help with upsales of products. So not just single candle purchases. Because ideally, we wanted a way for businesses such as any of the candle makers on your podcast may use to be able to have a beautiful box to present to their customers, keeping the price point low, making sure it's sustainable materials, and having an aesthetically pleasing box so it would help with their customers actually going, oh, wow, look, I can get a 2-pack or a 3-pack and it's all designed, it all fits in beautifully. So to really help the upsale. And we found that when we've done this with any of our businesses in any other industry, we have found that they have increased sales and had repeat purchases based on the aesthetic looks. So they can also add branding. Some of them progress to branded boxes. Just a simple brand. We don't believe in complicated branding and overpriced boxes. That's not what we do. We always look for ways to keep the price point low for our customers. And it's one of those things when you're actually printing on a box, it allows you to be able to then have some recognition. So when the customer is receiving it, like, oh, it's from, such and such candle business, and they can see the connection with them, and it might have their Instagram handles or a website on there, and they're instantly connected with that business as well.
So it goes so much deeper than just, as you say, just a box or just packaging. There's this whole unboxing experience that the customer goes through when they first receive their parcel. They have the anticipation of opening that parcel and then seeing this gorgeous box, feeling how beautiful it is, and then receiving their product on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's really important. So when you're putting together some packages or you're thinking about it, but also to keeping in mind about the pricing of it, there's sort of two things. There's a pre-sale packaging product, which may be a little bit fancier because perhaps you're selling into a retail store. So you need something even more eye-catching. But when it comes to the actual delivery, so when it's an e-commerce box, we don't believe in overpricing the actual box itself. So we have lots of different customers that brand in different ways. Some will print with us because we have a low economic print option, or others will use labels or even a stamp. They'll just stamp their boxes with their brand on them. And we believe that that's the best way for that kind of after sale one. Have a beautiful box, really clean, maybe with your branding on it, but don't over purchase on that box because they can get quite expensive when people are doing lots of heavy printing and things. It's just, we don't believe in that. We believe in keeping it beautiful, but price point low.
Yes, which is so important, especially in today's economy. Everything is more expensive and people are looking about how to cut costs to their business or to save money. And unfortunately, packaging could be one of those options that people think that they can reduce their costs on. But as you say, it's so important for the customer experience to have a positive experience with the package and with the order that they've placed with the candle business.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you work with customers to understand their packaging needs?
So for us, it always starts with what we're actually boxing. So, we might have candle business, like what type of candles are they? What dimensions are the products? Maybe they're going to do candles and perhaps some other form of product as well. So it may not just be candles in that box. It might be like they're putting together a pamper pack or something like that. So for us, it's really understanding what's going in the box and how they're going to use it. Are they hand giving the box? Or are they posting the box? So understanding that will lead us to what materials we would recommend. We've got thousands of variations of sizes, and normally we can offer a customer a solution without having to go down the path of custom, which can get quite expensive in custom sizes. Well, we do have that as an option where there's just nothing else. We always recommend, though, trying to utilize one of our standard sizes. So we collect all this information about what it is that you're actually wanting to do with the box. Having that information allows us to give recommendations and guide somebody through their choices on color, or if they want to print, or what they want to achieve out of the box. So it's a whole process, but we at the start, it's just about us gathering information, understanding what you actually want to box, and from there we can provide recommendations and help for the business, and make it as simple as possible for them.
Yeah, perfect. And it all comes down to, a simple phone call or an email to have that conversation, or to open up the conversation to see what options are available, rather than, sitting behind your computer, Googling everything and hoping for the best and just finding a company and just ordering something. Taking it to the next level, being a bit more professional in your business and speaking to the experts in the industry, such as yourself, and seeing what is the best option. How is this product going to be the best option for my business and for my customers?
Yeah, absolutely. And we always recommend at PACKQUEEN that the customers do reach out to us. So we have hundreds and hundreds of different size options, color combo. There's a whole lot of things in there. And it can be quite overwhelming. So when someone's looking, I just want this size, I have it in my head of what I need. It's so much easier to either pick up the phone or send us an email. We're always really responsive in that respect, rather than trying to troll through our website and you're like, I'm not sure. And it gets quite frustrating. You don't know what you want, but you have an idea in your head and trying to find the right connection. So I absolutely agree. I think for us, it's our relationships that we have with businesses. And that's where we always have an open communication. Jump onto our website. We even have our live chat function if somebody needed just a quick advice. So it's just really being accessible to everybody in any of the ways that they want to communicate. But I think it makes it a lot easier in the long run, because we can definitely guide you through a lot faster in the process and make it easier. Let it be our stress, not yours.
That's good to know. When you start your candle business, there are so many things to consider and research along the way, especially when it comes to choosing the right suppliers. Long Story Short provides all your design and printing needs, from your logo and branding to designing and printing your product labels. The quality is exceptional, the customer service is amazing, and prices are very reasonable. They're the only label company I recommend, so check out their website or send them an email today to get started. hello@longstoryshortdesign.com.au. So we touched on earlier about sustainable materials. What sustainable materials do you actually offer in your packaging options?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So our packaging products are made up anywhere between 20 to 100% recycled materials. So we recycle also all our offcuts through the production process. So it's a circular approach to what we do. So essentially we're using board that has a recycled component to it, if not 100% recycled, at the minimum 20%. We manufacture all our offcuts are sent through to be recycled again and turned back into board and come back around. We also use certified places that, even if we are having to use material that's not 100% recycled, they are certified to be able to offer the best material price. They're following all their credentials regarding forestry practices. So it's really important for us that who our suppliers of raw materials are thoroughly vetted to make sure that they're giving us the best products available.
It's so reassuring to hear that you have that circular approach when it comes to where the materials are coming from, reusing and not wasting or having minimal waste in the business.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
As we said before, there's that increased environmental awareness and people are looking for more sustainable options. So it's great that that's built into your business model.
Yeah, it's something that was really important to us from the start. So we're essentially a zero waste in terms of production. So nothing doesn't get recycled. So through the process, we were always very conscious of doing that, and we put in steps in place to be able to allow us to do that. So that's extremely important. But that's the advantage because we do manufacture the boxes ourselves. We have complete control from the raw material through to the production and the recycling component. And that was something that was really important to us from the very start.
Amazing. So when it comes to customized packaging, which we touched on before, what's important for the candle maker to think about if they're wanting something custom made?
So when it comes to custom packaging, so if it's outside of our range, so custom can fall into you want to brand something that we already have, that's your cheapest option. You've already got the tools and things like that. It's a lot cheaper to do. Alternatively, you can do a custom size, but that will always be a bit more expensive. We recommend not starting custom packaging in terms of sizes to you're at least needing 500 to 1,000 boxes. So we would recommend for anything lower, making do with some of the standardized products we have, but that doesn't mean that you can't make those boxes special because you can still add branding. And some of the ways that we do that is we offer an eco-friendly print, which is just simple. You might have a logo that you want to put onto the actual packaging to make it your own. Other ways that we mentioned earlier are things like labels and also stamps. But one of the things that we feel that is sometimes underutilized is printing essentially a logo or some form of branding on a box, but leaving a section blank for your fragrance or whatever it is that you might be selling, for example. So we see this quite often used on little paperboard boxes, so retail-based boxes. You can print that box in a higher volume, which gives you a cheaper price, and then utilizing a sticker to actually brand it with either the candle name or things like that. So you're keeping your actual external branding generic and just have a changeable sticker. It saves you a lot of money rather than setting up, maybe you've got 5 different fragrances you're selling or more. Rather than having 5 separate custom boxes, you just have the one and leave a little spot just to add your candle fragrance or whatever it might be. That's a really good way to actually save money if you're moving to that next stage of custom printing and packaging.
It's so good to know that there are different options and pathways that you can go down to really make the packaging your own, but still keeping in mind to be cost effective overall.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's lots of different ways. We have lots of tricks up our sleeves. So that's why we always say, just let us know what you want.
Yes.
And we'll be able to help guide you. What's your budget? What are you wanting to achieve? And then we can work with the person to actually find the best solution for their business.
What's the usual timeline when it comes to customized packaging if someone does want to go down that path?
Yeah. So it depends on what specifically they want. If they're using one of our standard boxes, we can turn around custom packaging within 5 to 10 days. If it's something that they're creating a brand new size, it's a little bit different because the process needs to be sampled. So I would say from start to finish, if you're looking at a completely custom size, you're looking at probably 15 to 20 working days or say 3 to 4 weeks. But certainly your quickest option is to try to use one of our standard size and add a print to that, and you can have it in as little as 5 to 10 days.
Amazing. That's really good. What are some budget tips for getting the most out of plain boxes?
So the best thing is keeping it simple and keeping with your craft board. So we offer craft brown, craft white, and a really gorgeous double-sided craft black. All of the craft-based boxes are going to be the most economical on price, and we always recommend going with those rather than more premium options. So rather than going with, matte finishes and gloss finishes, like they're gorgeous, some of those finishes, but the price point starts to get more expensive. So definitely staying with craft-based products. Trying to not have many variations in sizes. So say you've got 5 different options and you're trying to consolidate it to even 2 or 3 boxes at most that you need. Even if it means in the initial time you might be putting a little bit of filler, you can use a recycled filler. Even if it means you have to fill the box slightly, it'll allow you to get larger volumes for those particular boxes. So we always try to get people with the least amount of boxes they need in sizes. If you have too many options, it gets very expensive. You're better to go less sizes and have a little bit higher volume, and that'll allow you to be able to keep your budget down as well.
So good. And then also I would add to that if you're using labels or, coloured washi tape or something to just, pretty up the box a little bit, those are things that you can consider to do after.
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually make the box your own by just personalizing it and in low cost ways. Absolutely.
What are some common challenges that you've seen clients face when it comes to packaging?
I think the most common one is just not knowing where to start. They know they want a box. And I'd say the best way to really get help is if you see something that you like, whether it be, on Pinterest or Instagram or on social media, that's the quickest way to be able to express what you actually wanting. What's really good about that is for us, if we see that we can guide someone really quickly, so we might go, this is a great box, but it may be really expensive to make. And so quite quickly we know. So for example, rigid boxes, so they're pre-assembled and there are a lot of candle places that might use it, but they usually have a higher price point for rigid boxes. So that's great if you've got a very expensive candle that you're putting in there, but it's probably not so great if your candle's at a lower price point. So it just really depends on what you need. But I definitely recommend searching around to see the products that you like. So at least you have a starting point. Have a budget in mind as well. And that budget will vary based on what candle that you're actually using. So if it is something that you're pricing to be more of a market-based candle, you want a bit cheaper, or you're wanting to go more higher end, I think understanding that, then that helps you to determine a budget as well for your packaging. So having those things in mind, because there's no point paying, I don't know, $10 a box for packaging if your candle's only going to be sold for 20. You want to try to keep the price point as low as possible. So they're things that once we see what somebody wants, we really are able to help guide them make the best decision for what their business needs.
When it comes to cost of goods for the candle maker, do you believe in factoring in the price of the packaging as well as the manufacturing of the actual candle?
Yeah, if you are going to sell with the box, we would recommend doing that. I think, just depending on how you're selling, and that's why we really recommend some of the packs that we've created that are 2 packs, because essentially your packaging box is split across 2 candles, which then makes it more economic for yourselves. I think that's really important. Whereas if you've just got a single candle in a single box, that can be quite expensive depending on what packaging option. So it's really about understanding your price point for your candles, where you're going to be entering, what type of market are you looking at focusing on with those, and then finding a suitable product. So, for example, you may not need a shipping box if you're wanting a package for your product, but you're going to be selling it from a retail store or something like that. You would go with a different option. You don't need a strong, sturdy cardboard box if that's your option. So it's really understanding how you are going to be selling it. Then that way you can work through the price point of what you would, but we would always recommend adding that into it, particularly on the single candles, because it's otherwise you're going to be out potentially quite a little bit of money from the packaging point of view.
And these are definitely decisions that need to be made earlier on in the business for each candle maker.
I would agree totally. Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes for us, what we find is packaging is a last thought, not a first thought. So we believe that when you're starting your product creation, your ideas, and you know how you want to sell it, and we say this to not just candle makers, but any business, really think about your packaging side of it. And also to packaging does take time to get the right one that you want for your business as well. And, we've had businesses, particularly startups, they're days before they launch and they're like, oh, we need packaging. So they're ringing us up saying we need packaging. And they've literally just forgotten about it. So we always think that it's a really important part of your planning process. So once you know what candle you want to do, the price point for the candle, what market you're going to target, factor into the packaging side of it quite early on, and that will help guide everything else, help guide how much you want to sell the product for and things like that. So yeah, absolutely, it definitely has to be, earlier the better when it comes to the product design component of it.
What are your top tips when it comes to packaging candles for either shipping or for retail?
So the top tips, I definitely would say, so when I say pre-sale, it's on the shelf. Need it to stand out. So, for example, when you go through a cosmetic store, there's all this standout packaging. It's beautiful. So if you're targeting people in a retail-based business, you absolutely need to have some standout. Doesn't mean it needs to be expensive, but the logo, the look, the visual, even just walking through places that sell similar products, what would you do? What products, if you were looking from a packaging point of view, look a little different? Perhaps it might be playing around with the colors or something, but it has to stand out on the shelf because you want to get that retail customer to purchase. From a shipping point of view, that's different. That's why we've created for example, inserts in our boxes. We don't want those candles to get broken in any way by the time they arrive to their customer. So that's really important. So you need to make sure you're either using inserts or fillers. You can get compostable bubble wrap now. There's recyclable fillers. There's so much out there to actually still be sustainable, but you definitely need to make sure your product is secure. So essentially, if you can put your candles in and you can hear them moving, it's not secure. So they need to be filled. So that is really important. So either inserts or fillers, and then that way they're nice and secure and you won't have any problems when they're actually being shipped out to your customers.
So important to use filler and more than what you think you need to make sure those candles are nice and snug in the box.
Yeah, absolutely. And you should always make sure that none of the glass components is actually hitting any part of the box as well. So that's where that's important. So, for example, with our inserts, when you put the insert in, the actual outer glass doesn't touch the box at all. So if you are using any form of bubble wrap or anything, that's what you need to make sure. Nothing should be pressed and but up right against the cardboard box, and that's really important. Look, I mean, sometimes we know the couriers can be a little bit rough. We've all seen how they might handle the package, so you just want to make sure that there's nothing extra that's going to increase the risk of damage to the products.
Exactly, and that's what it's, that's all part of the process. If you want to ship your products in the mail, you need to make sure you're doing it in the most safest way possible so the customer has a positive unboxing experience.
Yes. Absolutely.
Not a broken item when they've received it.
No, we want to minimise those. Look, you might get the odd one here and there, but you want about 99% of them with no problems at all.
Yes. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners about the world of packaging?
I think the most important thing is just really understanding what your product is and who your market is. And when it comes to packaging, your packaging is there to help present your product. So it doesn't need to be the main feature. It's the supporting act, so to speak. The main feature is your product. So when you come to choosing packaging, choosing appropriate packaging is really important. Have it nice looking, but don't overspend on packaging. That is really important. Make sure it's a nice secured box. It looks good, but make your product stand out. That's who the hero of the actual box is.
Amazing. So, Monique, we've come to one of my favourite parts of the podcast where I ask all my guests 3 questions relating to candles. Question number 1 is, what is your favourite candle fragrance?
My favourite candle fragrance is a classic and is vanilla. I like it.
It's mine too.
There's so many variations of it. I just can't get past it. It's just one of the nicest fragrances for me. And I do like, they do little twists and turns on the vanilla fragrance, and I just love them all.
Yes, perfect. Question 2, what do you love about candles?
I actually love how they make you feel. I love how it just calms an environment. We're often putting candles on in our house, and I just love the way it just makes you feel. It just sort of drops the energy. It's relaxed, and I love the smell, and it's fresh. It just, I love everything about them. A little bit obsessed.
Yes, as I am, and as the listeners are as well. Yeah. And then the last question is, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give to candle makers during their journey?
I think know who you are targeting. There are different markets out there, and really understanding who your target market is right at the early stages. Do you want to be that high-end candle? Do you want to have a fun, funky branded candle? There's so many different options that you may have. And I think really understanding that from the start will help direct everything. It'll help direct how you market your business. It'll help direct how you package it, how you present yourself online, how you present your website. So really understanding who you want to be at the start of your journey. I mean, look, it may change as you go along, but at least have a starting point. And that would be my biggest advice. Know who you're selling to and know who your target market is. Amazing.
Thank you so much, Monique, for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate your time, and I am so grateful that you shared your wisdom, knowledge, and expertise when it comes to all things packaging.
Thanks, Kirsty, for having me. I really appreciate it. And look, if you want any further information, you can obviously check us out at our website, so www.packqueen.com.au. And we also have a special discount coupon code for all of your listeners to use to get 10% off their orders, which is Candle Coach 10. And you can just use that on our website. Amazing. I'll put the links in the show notes for your website, your Instagram, and also the discount code as well. So thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's show, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.